Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone, and we are continuing to talk cricket. The West Indies women will officially bowl off their tour of England on Wednesday in Canterbury. That's where Kent plays its cricket, with the first of three T20 internationals. The match is scheduled to begin at 12:30 Jamaica time, 1:30 p.m. in the Eastern Caribbean. The second encounter will be played on Friday, the 23rd of May, at the First Central County Ground in Hove, Brighton, with a third and final encounter set for Monday, the 26th. At Chelmsford. In their lone warm-up match, the Caribbean women beat an ECB Development 11 by 80 runs. Kiana Joseph started the bat, scoring a 35-ball 62 before retiring out, as the West Indies women posted 175 for 4 from their 20 overs. Karishma Ramarak 2 for 11 and Afi Fletcher's 2 for 18 then restricted the ECB 11 to 95 for 7. Here's how coach Shane Dietz assessed the team's effort in that warm-up match.
We had a really good match on Sunday. There's a lot of positive takeaways from the game. I think the way we bowled on that pitch and we adjusted to the conditions was really good, and we've devised some real good plans for these conditions for the match tomorrow night. So it's exciting the way we bowled and the way we fielded. With the bat, obviously, Kiana kept up her good form in T20 cricket in particular. She plays some really good, powerful shots and had real good innings, supported by Haley, and a few from the lower middle order chipped in with some hard hitting at the end. We gave us a good score, so a few people got a good chance to bat in the middle, bowl in the middle. So most of the team feeling pretty good and confident in their games coming into Wednesday's fixture.
And Coach Dietz also provided an update on Stefanie Taylor, who retired hurt in the warm-up match.
Stefanie felt a bit of a hamstring in the game, so she's been getting some treatment. She trained lightly today, so hopefully she'll be okay for tomorrow's game.
Nikhil still with us to discuss as we try to get a feel of how the Windies women will match up against England. Not that profound in his comment on Stefanie Taylor for this fixture coming off a hamstring injury in the warm-up match, Nikhil, but first of all, do you think she will play, and how important will it be for the West Indies for a fit Stefanie to be ready for this series?
Lance, I have no idea if she'll be fit and ready to play, but what I will say is that, wow, if there was ever a time, and I thought maybe at the last series or the World Cup qualifiers, the West Indies needed Stefanie Taylor, but without Dottin and Chanel Henry, I think certainly this is the time where they need her more than ever. And unfortunately, I think at this age and stage of her career, it's hard for us to imagine 100% Stefanie Taylor. But she showed us what even nursing injuries at 70%, 80% of her capacity, what she was capable of doing in that game against Thailand to end the qualifiers. So I really hope that she is able to suit up just because of the depth that she gives the West Indies batting lineup. This is going to take an all-hands-on-deck effort if the West Indies are to overcome England in the T20IS series.
Yeah, and who would you consider to be favourites for this series?
I have to say England, and that's simply because of the injuries that the West Indies face, the cricket that they've played at the qualifiers recently. But Lance, I think the West Indies should go into this series full of belief. And it will seem tough against this England team away from home in foreign conditions with a very young team. But they've got to think about the T20 World Cup. They've got to remember that this is an England team in transition. They've got a new captain, new coach, new selector, and an England team who were beaten comprehensively against Australia early this year. So they too will be low on confidence, and they are nursing some injuries as well. Sophie Eccleston, who's the #1 T20I bowler in the world, and very profound all-rounder, missing in the series. Maya Boucher, who's a top order batter for them, also not there. So I think there's a level of vulnerability within this England team, and it's up to the West Indies, who pretty much have nothing to lose. They're underdogs in this series. They won't be given much of a chance away from home. Just be fearless. You've got a young team. Be fearless and play the brand that Shane Dietz has said multiple times that he wants them to play.
Yeah, and speaking about a young team, young Zeta James, the coach spoke at length about her today, saying that, based on what he's seen from her in practice and in the previous matches, she has really been stepping up, working on her game. How much do you expect from Zeta for this matchup?
Well, yeah, Murray, I think first of all, we saw, how much she's improved by her opening exploits in the one-day internationals recently. But I did some research today and I looked at her power play bowling in her T20 international career. Only 10 overs in her career, and she's gone at just 5.7 runs and over. And I think this is the ideal time to reward her control, reward her consistency. Given that there's no Deandra Dottin, there's no Henry, two of your potent new ball bowlers. So we know Sharianne Fraser, who was decent in the Bangladesh series, but lost her way in the third game. We know she will bowl maybe 2 or 3 every power play. But can Hayley Matthews maybe place a bit more responsibility on Zeta James, who we've seen to show in this India series, as well as the the Bangladesh series earlier this year, to have control in that power play, being able to hit a good length, but also to varying her pace. That to me is really impressive about her. So I'm hoping that they can give her some more responsibility with ball especially.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Cherry-Ann Fraser. Cherry has been around the setup for quite some time, but she made her debut for the West Indies in 2020 in the T20s and 2021 in the ODI. Nikhil, based on how she has gone about her career so far, how important is it for Cherry to ensure that, she stakes a claim in the squad? Because she's been in and out, based on the availability and the fitness of other players. Cherry gets the opportunity this time around. We've seen what she can do in the CPL. We've seen her in regional cricket. But I still feel that this player in particular has not yet cemented that spot where they say, we're not dropping Cherry-Ann.
Mariah, there have been times in the past where I felt that Sharianne Fraser has been underbowled. I felt that she's not been given a fair opportunity. And if she was to feel that way, there's no excuses this time, because there's no Henry, there's no Dottin, and she will have the biggest responsibility of bowling a new ball for the West Indies. We've seen already that she can swing the ball. We've seen at the back end of the innings in the Bangladesh series that she can also nail her Yorker at her best. But this is the ideal chance for her to, as you said, prove and show Shane Dietz that she belongs in this West Indies T20 team. She's of age now. I look at some of these players who are young. I mean, Gajnabi is another example, 24 years old. But she's played and made her debut 6 years ago and played 37 T20IS. So we ask about, with these younger players, quote-unquote younger players, when will they make that jump and almost command a spot in the team so that, regardless of the conditions, regardless of who the opposition is, they will find their name in the 11. This is the ideal series with injuries in the West Indies side for someone to step up, especially with the bat in that middle order. I'm looking at Gajnabi, I'm looking at Reliana Grimman, I'm looking at Janelia Glasgow, who's shown us sparks. One of those younger players, this is your moment.
Yeah, for sure, Nikhil. Completely agree with you, and I can't wait to see how that pans out. I want to go back quickly, though, to Stefanie Taylor, and it really hurts my heart to ask this question, but she's 33 years old now, and as much as you would love to see Stefanie Taylor in the West Indies side being at her best, being healthy enough to produce at the level that we know she can, at the level that she's shown glimpses in the last few years, but not really at the level that we know Stefanie Taylor is capable of. And given the fact that here is another injury that has developed with the 33-year-old, do you sort of look on Nikhil and start to think to yourself, maybe it's time?
Well, the thing is, Ricardo, these are the conversations we should be having as a region. The problem is, though, when we look into our regional setups and tournaments, are we really seeing any talent that is showing that they're better than a hampered and injured Stefanie Taylor? I've watched the last 2 or 3 regional tournaments closely, and I have not seen the batting talent to tell me that there's someone capable of stepping into the West Indies team and batting at number 4. So I think until that happens, and obviously this is assuming that Stefanie wants to continue, until that happens, we've got to continue with her. And even if it means injuries in every series and managing her body a bit better, she's obviously not as athletic in the field, no longer gives the West Indies overs with ball in hand. Her running between the wickets is hampered. But until the West Indies can develop capable top to middle order batting options that I can see are viable and capable of replacing her, I think you've got to stick with her. And especially with a T20 World Cup coming up soon, and then, of course, the 50 over World Cup, which she will not be involved in. Of course, I forgot that. It breaks my heart every time. There's no West Indies.
Yeah, sorry about that, Nikhil, but it's interesting because you looked at it just now from a West Indies standpoint, and I was really asking the question more from a Stefanie Taylor standpoint. How long can she continue to put her body through a situation where she is hurting, and every single game she plays, she is uncertain as to whether she'll be able to complete it?
Ricardo, all I can say is, Stefanie, thank you. We need you, because obviously she's struggling. Like, we've seen her limping, we've seen her on the ground. This is at least 2 years now, and still she continues to want to be part of the West Indies team. So I don't know if it's just a passion or a love. I'm assuming that's what's keeping her there. And I hope that even the time when she does decide that, you know, she's had enough and can't play anymore, I really hope the West Indies find a way to keep her around the setup. Because one, she's got the relationship with the women on the team, but two, I think no one will know world cricket as well as her. And to see the way it's evolved over the last decade, you know, from a World Cup win to where we are now, the West Indies need her in some capacity. So, Stefanie, I'm along with the rest of the region praying that, you know, you continue to love it and want to be there.
Okay, Nikhil, we're going to leave it there. We are anxiously awaiting the start of this series and see how well the West Indies do against the more highly ranked England. But I agree with you, this England team is not the best England team. And hopefully we get a competitive series from the Windies girls. Thanks.
They've got to believe, Lance and team. They've got to believe.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So Nikhil giving his thoughts there, Ricardo and Mariah. A very important series here for the West Indies girls, and an opportunity for them, without Chanel Henry and without Deandra Dottin, to show that they have the aptitude and the application to rise to an occasion like this.
You know, if I'm being honest, I wish we were not in this position. I would not want us to be in a place where we have to put all this pressure on the youngsters and, you know, they're getting this opportunity and it's up to them. If it was up to me, Chanel would be playing right now, Stefanie Taylor would be playing, Deandra Dottin would be playing. And I feel like, you know, Nikhil said that just now, we got to believe. And, you know, maybe the girls need to hear that from Nikhil, but I'm not buying into that. Like, I feel like it's been quite some time where we just go rally behind the girls and we get disappointed. And the thing is, it's only fair to want them to do well, but I also think it's very unfair to put so much pressure on these youngsters. Zeta James, how old is she, Ricardo?
20.
Right, a 20-year-old expected to come now and fill the shoes of a Chanel Henry. Chanel, who has been doing this for quite some time, and I'm just using that as an example. And Deandra Dottin, that when she takes the ball, is a fair factor for the opposition. You just know that it is Deandra Dottin, and you know she's going to make some sort of impact, even if it's with some brilliant catch, even with if it's bowling, even if it's with the bat. Then Stefanie Taylor, she doesn't bowl as much anymore. When last did you all see her bowl?
Or any at all.
That's another thing. So to me, I feel really depressed. I don't want that sort of energy. We're rallying tomorrow, and all of you know tomorrow I will be up rallying behind the West Indies women. But I really wish things were a bit different going into this first ODI.
Well, first of all,
T20.
Mariah, there's no reason for you not to be up at 12:30 p.m. Jamaica time, 1:30 the rest of the Caribbean, just to make that point.
Listen, you did give me a speech about it's good to take a little nap in the day and all
Oh,
that.
it is. It certainly helps you for the rest of the day. But here's my thing, though. At some point, these youngsters have to step up. If West Indies women's cricket is to move forward, then these youngsters have to get to the levels that Deandra Dottin and Stefanie Taylor and Hayley Matthews and Chanel Henry have gotten to or are currently at. Because without that, then West Indies women will continue to struggle and will struggle badly. So from that standpoint, I really want to see these youngsters stepping up. And maybe it is sometimes putting pressure on them will light a fire that almost forces the performances that the coaching staff feels they are capable of. I have my doubts, especially on the batting end, because I just have not seen enough to say that many of these young ladies are ready to deliver consistently at that level. So I have my doubts. But having said that, I would love to see what the coaches consistently see in their training sessions and in their preparation and so on. The biggest concern for me, though, and again, it's around the batting, because I've seen the West Indies women, even when we have been at our best, struggling English conditions with the swinging ball in particular. And if you remember the one-day international series against India last year as well, when the ball moved around, everybody was at sea. And that was in India.
Concerning, yeah.
So I can just imagine if there is swing movement in cold conditions in England with an inexperienced batting lineup. Once again, we're in a situation where Captain Fantastic, Hayley Matthews, will have to shoulder most of the responsibility. And I'm not sure how many of those young ladies or even the older ladies can manage if the England bowlers get it right and the ball is moving around tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a position I wish we were not in, but we are in. And as you said, Hayley Matthews, she's only human, and how much of that responsibility she can shoulder.
She's a special human.
I agree, superhuman, if I'm to even say that. But Ricardo, we know some days, you know, it's natural to have a bad performance. And, you know, when Hayley Matthews does well, I always say the West Indies goes on to do well. But again, it's a lot of pressure on her as well as a young setup. So it's a bit worrying, but we rally nevertheless, just like you and Manchester
I feel like
United.
you're just saying we're going to lose tomorrow because
I'm not
this
saying
is too
that.
much.
I'm not saying that, but you know, because I'm so passionate about West Indies women's cricket.
She's nervous.
And
Oh,
because
that's
every
what it
time
is?
Karishma
Yeah,
takes
It's nerves.
Yeah, she's
yes,
nervous.
Okay,
and every time Karishma takes the ball to bowl, like I'm excited for her to get a wicket, but in the back of my mind, I can't help but worry, are we going to make the runs to get us across the line? And it's something that's very personal to me, and I just pray for the day that our Windies women can just step up and just bat for me.
You seem
Wow.
terrified.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. A tough day ahead for Ramarak. She'll be putting 100% support behind the West Indies girls against England and, of course, Tottenham to beat Manchester United. We go to break. We'll be back with more on The Zone after this.